This is describing what we did by bicycle in Italy and Albania. First, starting with Italy, we came in by plane from Las Palmas, Gran Canaria of the Canary Islands, and we flew into Naples. So we're in the southern part of Italy. So here we are in Naples. We came into the airport and our host, Francesco, met us there and helped us put our bikes back together, and we cycled with him to his home, which is in the downtown of Naples, and got a little mini tour from him at the same time. Unfortunately, we arrived in Naples in late February, and it was really rainy and cold. So we had planned to do a little bit of the Amalfi Coast, but it was just too miserable, so we decided to skip that and took a train directly to Benevento, where we had another Warm Showers host, Massimo, to meet us. And we stayed with him for a few days in Benevento and got my bike adjusted, for example, and were treated like kings by his family and his friends and himself. Then we cycled to this little village on the top of a hill called Savignano, where we stayed in a hospice in their little gym, and again treated like kings, given pizzas and beer and breakfast, and they were really, really kind. It was still kind of foggy and rainy, and we got to the next town of Candela, and we got a little bit of an expensive bed and breakfast, but they gave us it for a nicer rate because the weather was really terrible. So we had to stay there a couple of nights. Then we continued towards the coast and got to the town of Trani. Has a big nice cathedral. We went to visit that, did the touristy thing, and stayed in another expensive B&B. This along the coast we had thought was going to be really, really nice, but it ended up being very busy with traffic and you couldn't really see much anyway. Then we got into Bari, where we were hosted by another Warm Showers person, this guy named Alain, who runs a messenger service by bicycle in Bari. And Benoit got sick, so we ended up staying there a few days while he recovered. And then once he was feeling better, then we grabbed a ferry, overnight ferry from Bari across to Albania, and it came into the town of Durrës. There we stayed a couple of days, walked around the beach, and kind of got used to this culture that was just coming out of a few years of decades of communism. Then we headed out by bicycle, and we tried to avoid the main road, and it was good to avoid the traffic, but the conditions of the road were really, really terrible. We made it as far as this little village called Milot, and there we met a young woman named Anna who became our translator, and through her we met another guy who was super nice to lend us his empty apartment where we could camp overnight. And anyway, that's where we stayed. Then the next day we headed through this gorge and some mountains, which was pretty nice, except for there's tons of garbage along the road, and the road is in terrible condition for most of it. Then we got to the town of Burrell, where we stayed overnight, and through here, lovely, beautiful mountains, really picturesque. The road kind of improves around here, and there's a nice big descent almost all the way to the border, and we just made it to the border with Macedonia in the evening, and then we crossed over into Macedonia right here.